In this assignment, you're being asked to look at a passage from Wasted by Marya Hornbacher, and its focus on her struggles with eating disorders. It's going to ask you to look at very specific parts of the passage and respond to very specific prompts. This assignment is either found at the top of your stream. On your stream, everything is in the order in which they were posted. If you go to your classwork tab, you'll see it down here under Writing Assignment 915. The writing assignment is focused on this passage, the bad guy passage. If you look at the bad guy passage, it's in this slide that's also linked. It's over here to the side, and there is also a link to the PDF. And through this PDF, you can also link back to this. What is asked of you in this assignment is to analyze the passage for very specific things and then write a single paragraph from 150 to 250-ish words in which you do the following. You explain the looking glass analogy. How is it compared to the looking glass? Explain the action flick metaphor. And within that metaphor, what does it mean when she says the bad guy causes her to miss the train? And finally, can you describe her bad guy? Who is this bad guy? So we're dealing with this idea of the bad guy in the passage, and we're looking at very specific aspects of it. So when you read the passage, you want to be looking for those specific things. And I have it on this slide. We're looking for the looking glass analogy, the action flick metaphor. Try to explain in your own words your opinion of what it means to miss the train, and then to describe who this bad guy is. Okay, that's your basic goal, a paragraph. What are those things? What does all this stuff mean? So, pardon me. I explained it in the class lecture, and I'm going to explain it again quickly here. She first states that she went through the looking glass. Now, the looking glass, or a looking glass, is another way of saying mirror. So she is saying that she stepped through this mirror into this netherworld. And nether is a dark world. It's a world that isn't as positive. Maybe it's more negative and dark in its nature. Now this reference, if you follow the links, and there are links here on the slide to the looking glass, you would find out that Through the Looking Glass is the follow-up novel story after Alice in Wonderland. It's Alice Through the Looking Glass. And so the reference in this passage is to that book. She wants to draw parallels between that book and her life. So in that book, in Alice in Wonderland, you might remember Alice follows a rabbit into a hole and goes into this weird, kind of crazy world. In the next chapter, she goes through a mirror in which everything is the opposite, even logic. So everything is different. If you watch Stranger Things, this is the upside down. There is also Black Mirror, which is a popular television series that uses the same imagery, referring back to Through the Looking Glass. This netherworld. She refers to her life as being a badly scripted action flick. Action flick. A flick is just another word for a movie or a film. That idea of an action flick is that idea of that, there's that model of an action adventure in which there's a clear bad guy and a clear good guy, and we have these chase scenes and these action montages, but this is a badly scripted action flick. So what does that mean? That's where you keep going. Why are you people splitting up? Don't go into that house by yourself. There's a bad guy in there who's going to get you, and you want to scream at the screen. Don't do it. Well, she's comparing her life to that kind of a movie, a really dumb movie with this villain that ultimately will grab you and tie you up so you miss the train and everything falls apart. So the missing the train is a reference again to another saying, to miss the boat or to miss the bus. Or in this case, in these old movies, they tie people up and you miss that train that gets you out of town or where you had to go. But this again is a figurative way of explaining missed out opportunities, missed out on life. Maybe you wanted to go somewhere with your life, but you got tied up by this bad guy and you couldn't pursue those things in your life. So finally, who is the bad guy? Describe the bad guy. Well, the bad guy down here is her evil, skinny double, who tells her not to eat because she's still not thin enough. And what does that mean? Well, I want you to go back to the idea of looking in the mirror, the looking glass. And when she sees the other side of that looking glass, who's looking back at her? It's this evil, skinny, bad guy who tells her everything's going to be all right if she just loses more weight. Well, that evil double was lying because she was never thin enough, and it almost killed her. So those are the overall responses. Explain the looking glass analogy. It's a comparison between her experience and the book through the looking glass about Alice stepping through a mirror and going to this other world. Action flick metaphor is that idea that our lives are just stories being told as a movie, and hers is like this really bad movie where she does all these dumb things. And the bad guy ties her up so that she missed the train and her life falls apart, meaning that because of this eating disorder, she doesn't really find success in many other aspects of her life. And finally, that bad guy is the bad guy that we all have, which is that voice in our head telling us that we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not pretty enough. We're our own worst enemy, if you know that saying. So as I end this, I want you to also be thinking about the other things we have read, and I want you thinking about yourself and asking, what are their bad guys and what is your bad guy using this analogy?